Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the ARPB to order. And Rita, could we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Roche?
I am here.
Mrs. Jones?
I'm here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
Also present are the town manager, Greg Dunham, the assistant town attorney, Edward Nazaro, myself, and absent with notice are Chairman Smith and Mr. Doherty, and Vice Chairman Murphy is present and in charge.
Thanks, Rita. Moving on to the minutes of the last meeting on 7/23, are there any amendments, updates? If not, will we have a motion to approve them, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
Rita, please.
Mr. Roche?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
And Chairman Murphy?
Yes. With that, we come on to the future meeting dates. You can see them in front of you: October 22nd, November 19th, December 17th. Are there any known absences for those dates? I have to declare that I'm probably not around on November the 19th.
And I may not be available on October 22nd.
Yeah, November I'm unsure of.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. We now move on.
I'm not sure about either. I'm not sure when I'm getting back down there.
Okay. Thanks,
But
Curtis.
I'll let you know, Rita.
Okay. And now moving on to the public hearing part of the meeting. Rita, are you going to administer the oaths?
Yes. Would you, was there any ex parte communication?
I was going to come on to that after the oaths, but I can ask that now before we move on to the first item. So moving on to the first item on the agenda. Has there been any ex parte communication?
No.
No.
My part.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
What about the persons who are going to speak? They will need to take the oath as well.
Yes, that needs to be administered.
Are they on?
I'm here.
Looks like one of them is, yeah.
My name is Keith Van Druff with Worth Building.
And I am Tasso Flores, architect for the first item on the agenda. I hear some reverb.
I hear it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm Keith for Little Architect for Little
All of you taking the oath, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
In that case, could we please move on to the presentation?
Should I begin the first item?
Please. Yes, please.
Yes. Our application is for replacement of an existing front door with a new front door, and also replacement of two false transom panels on either side of this front door. You can see the drawing. I don't know if you can see my cursor here.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the existing front door. this is the proposed front door. And you can also see the false transom panel. All of the existing elements are the new elements of the square. On the upper left, you see an aerial. The front door is right where the cursor is. This photo was taken from this corner of the property, right down here, southwest. And this photo is, and it's not possible because of the traffic. And I've just opened the question.
This is a disaster.
I apologize. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is everybody else getting the second?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. This isn't paying justice to your presentation. Can I ask the staff if there's any way we can fix it? Do we come back in, go out? What are the options?
Malcolm, Mr. Murphy,
Yes. Yep.
we need to have Mr. Spina and everyone, not our commissioners, just our presenters. They need to get off and sign in again.
Okay.
And Mr. Spina cannot share his link.
Yeah, Renee, I'm sorry I couldn't hear that.
Hi, everybody. It's Rebecca. So if you're not actively presenting, please mute your microphone. Let's see if that works first before people stop hopping off.
Okay, and we'll apply that to the board members as well, just to toggle in, toggle out as well.
So if you're not actively speaking, I think it's getting better. So we'll just ask everybody to mute while they're not speaking. If you want to speak, just unmute yourself and then remute yourself. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Mr. Murphy, you're muted.
Sorry, could we get we'll start again so we give due justice to the presentation, please.
I just unmuted my mic. Can everyone hear me?
I can't get it. I cannot get it to come up on my iPad. I'm on it on the regular.
I think all the board members can hear.
I'm on the phone, honey.
Okay.
Let me know when I may start.
You should be good. Thank
Okay.
you for your patience.
Phone. How can I mute?
Did I review everything
I can't hear it.
I said previously? Yes?
Yes, please. Let's start again. And everybody else who isn't speaking, mute yourselves, please.
Great. So this is an application to replace a front entrance door and two false transom panels on either side of the entrance door. If you can see my cursor again, can you see my cursor? Yes.
Yes.
Then this is the existing front door and panels. This is the proposed front door panels. We're changing curves to square.
That's why I'm on the phone.
On the upper left is an aerial view. The door is right there. The cursor is. This photograph was taken from this part of the property. And this photograph was taken from the driveway. And because of vegetation, the house is not really visible. And I'm open to questions.
Okay. Anything from the board?
I have a question on the windows. So the new windows, do they have mullions? I can't tell by the copy I have.
The windows themselves are not changing. It is only the top.
It's only
panels that we're changing.
Just the curved part?
That's the curved part up there. There's slatted panels.
Okay, thank you.
And although this can't be seen from the road, as is clear from the view from the driveway, has there been any comment from neighbours, Rita? Hello?
Rita?
There has been no comment received from anybody, at least not in this office.
Okay, thank you. It seems a very straightforward proposal. No comments from neighbours. Therefore, if there's no other comments from the board or members of the public, can I ask for a motion, please?
Could one of you ladies read the motion? Because I don't have all that printout in front of me.
Sure, I'll do it. Let me find it.
What's happened?
Here it is. I'd like to make a motion to approve a level 2 architectural site plan to permit the construction of a redesigned front entryway and a new front door.
Thanks, Georgette. And a seconder?
I'll second that.
In that case, Rita, please.
Mr. Roche,
Yes?
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chair Murphy.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. We now move on to the second item of the public hearing agenda, and this is the application from the Little Club. Who's making the presentation for this, please?
Hi, I'm Keith Spina. I'm the architect for Little Club. And then also Ross Curtis will be sharing some thoughts as well.
Okay.
Is someone get the presentation up, or how do we get our presentation up?
Just before we go into that, I know the oaths were taken. Did you take an oath on this?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. In that case, yes, please, if we could receive the application.
Great. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ross Curtis, and I am the president of the Little Club. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hey, Ross, real quick, how do we go to the next slide if we want to? Anybody have any?
I gave control to Mr. Ross Curtis and the first Keith Spina that's logged in. So those, I can always check the other one if somebody needs.
If you could give the control to Keith Spina, I can then do that. Would be great if that's okay.
You should have control over it.
Okay, so then how do I go to the next slide, I guess?
You should be able to use your mouse to toggle back and forth between the
Can
two.
you guys see that? Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, Ross, you up on the design objectives?
About ready to, when you move it forward, that'd be great. So
it looks like I've moved it forward. Do you see it?
We're still on the title slide.
Okay. Let's see. Whoops, how'd that work? Am I good?
Still on title.
I can control it since it appears that we're having issues with it. I can control it. You would just have to say slide when you wanted me to advance to the next slide.
That's
we can go
terrific.
to the next slide. That would be great.
Yeah, Thank you. So anyways, we appreciate your time and the opportunity to present our application. With me this morning, obviously, is our architect, Keith Spina, our attorney, Tom Murphy, and our general manager, Rob Leonard. Keith's going to be our primary presenter. Tom will address any legal questions, and Rob, any operational questions you all may have. My role as president is to ensure that the club is doing everything we can to enhance the experience for our members and also to provide great working conditions for our staff. Today, we lack a staff break room, a place for the team to eat meals, and adequate staff restrooms. While the club offers golf, croquet, and cards, the primary activity for our membership is dining. And hence having the facilities to prepare food and take care of our kitchen and wait staffs is a critical component for the club's long-term viability. As you all know, the club is in the final stages of the renovation you approved last year. When we applied to do that work, we were not in the position to address a kitchen renovation. Fortunately, the club's situation has significantly improved, and we're now ready to undertake a project which will address the working conditions in the kitchen and provide our staff with proper facilities similar to what the other Gulfstream clubs currently provide. But to do that, we need your approval to fully enclose a partially enclosed area on the western side of the kitchen. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith, who will walk you through the current condition and the terrific plan that he and his team have come up with to address those issues.
All right, thank you, Ross. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Keith Spina, and I'm an architect with Spina O'Rourke. We have been fortunate to be the architect for the current project, and it looks like it's going really well, and I think we're going to deliver it on time, which is always a challenge. But if you can go to the next slide, please. So we just wanted to share a couple of the pictures of the existing conditions. Again, I think that the staff at the Little Club is amazing. As Ross said, the food service is a significant part of the experience for the members, and the staff does an amazing job with what they have. The pictures starting up at the top left, that's a view of the kind of a combination of spaces. It's the back of house kitchen, meaning some service areas for the kitchen. And then it also serves as really the staff break areas, and it's not quite as nice. You can see one of the pictures on the west. It says looking west is the staff locker rooms, and then the bottom picture on the left is a view from the south that has it a little bit more enclosed. But the objective is to do the following things. We're going to enclose the area, and then we're going to redo the entire kitchen, and then we're going to take and not only create a great place for the staff, but we're going to also clean up the whole entire west side of the building by enclosing all of the service functions of the kitchen. So next slide. And so what we did is we had, this is a survey that we have of the property. On the left in the red circle is the western side of the kitchen and the area that we're talking about. There is an existing wall that separates the Little Club from the casitas to the west. There was a question, in the existing wall that's there today, that's fairly tall, is actually about 3 inches west of the Little Club property line. And so it's actually on the casita property. And then our current outdoor covered and partially enclosed area goes right up to that wall, but doesn't technically touch the wall. As we move forward, we'll continue to do the same thing. We'll build on the Little Club's property on the east side of the wall, and the wall on the west will remain the same. Next slide, please. Can we get the next slide? Thank you. So one of the first challenges that we had when we started to get around to the kitchen project is, and we started to talk about the staff areas, is everybody said, well, where can we do this? And so we did kind of a quick analysis of the property. And so as you look at this diagram, it's pretty simple, but the whole northern side of the property is the parking lot and the road coming into the club and going down to the casitas. The top left side in yellow is the golf operations. And then you have the clubhouse in the middle, and then you have a little bit of outdoor, member dining area, but mostly just views and landscaping from the main dining rooms looking out towards the golf course. And then you have the current area that is on the west that is where the staff currently operates in the back of house kitchen area. And so it became, fairly straightforward, not only because it's adjacent to the kitchen, but it's really only the only available area on the property that we felt that we could accommodate the objectives. So next slide. And so this is just an existing floor plan. It shows the gray area is all the portions of the club that we are currently renovating and won't be touching in the future. The white is the existing kitchen. And then to the right of that is, you'll see the wall of the casitas, and then also the area that's partially enclosed between the kitchen and the wall. Next slide, please. And then this shows the improved plan. What we do is we've enclosed the area so we can really manage and maintain, whether it be food deliveries or trash and all that stuff. We have created really nice accommodations, although small, but still really nice accommodations for the staff. So we have restrooms in this area. We have a small lounge break room area, and we have lockers all contained in the building and all adjacent to the kitchen, and then allows you to go out into the club in a variety of different ways from that area. On the bottom right, you'll see that's the long wall of the casitas that continues to remain. And then our wall is just slightly east of that, and that's where our new wall and roof elements are. Next slide, please. So the next big challenge, and it's been kind of a challenge during the current renovation and this renovation, which is how do we clean up a bunch of mechanical equipment that is both on the ground and on the roof. And we've done a great job and really spent a lot of money, and it's significantly improved. We've created some wells on the roof currently as part of the current renovation underway, so that we could fully screen and bury mechanical equipment behind roofs that you can't see from any part, from the casitas, from the golf course, and from the street. The problem is that because of the style of the little club, it has a lot of pitched roof, and there's very limited flat roof areas where we can put mechanical equipment. So the picture above is the current roof plan that shows some existing mechanical equipment that's still on the west side that we are going to relocate, and we're going to take, and we've gotten everything off of the west side that we could, but some of these items have to go above the kitchen because they service hood ventilation for whether it be dishwashing or cooking. But we've taken and we've really worked hard to shift them slightly to the north and then as far east as we can to continue to screen them. Next slide. And then so this is a series of elevations that we thought would just really help understand the impact and what we're doing to mitigate that. So the top picture is a north elevation showing the existing roof equipment. The next slide is the north elevation showing either relocated equipment or equipment that has been relocated. And then we've added a screen wall to the front of the building. So as you're driving past the little club or into the little club, we've screened the mechanical equipment from view. And then the bottom picture we like to show, but we want to make sure you understand it, is the landscaping that we're actually going to put that will continue to hide that. A lot of people like to say, well, what does it look like without the landscaping? And that's the picture in the middle. But we think we've done a pretty good job fully screening a bunch of mechanical equipment that has been there for years. Next slide. Now we have the south elevation. Again, same kind of situation. So the top shows the casita wall, the partially enclosed roofs behind the wall. And then the other thing, there's a couple of the things that were shared early on with us from Gulfstream that we wanted to do. One of the significant ones was they wanted to make sure that any rainwater that was created on our property stayed on our property. So one of the things that we've done is we've relocated equipment, screened it with some parapets, but we've also raised the parapet a little bit. In the new parapet, be approximately 6 inches higher than the casita wall, but will kind of look like just the casita wall steps back and goes up a couple of inches. But that was primarily to screen equipment, but mostly to keep all of the water and waterproofing and flashing onto our roof so that we can tie it into our stormwater system and get rid of it. It's not keep flowing over to other properties. Next slide. This is the west elevation, and the top image is what it looks like today generally. We didn't show, there's a couple little decorative trellis and things like that, but we haven't shown. But you can see there's a bunch of rooftop equipment up there. And then what we've done is we've moved some of it, and then the rest we've shifted easterly, but we've also shifted it to the north and provided another screen wall element to help screen that. We've also concentrated the units. There's 3 fans. We put them all relatively close together so that the screen wall is as small as possible, yet still screening the equipment. Next slide. And then these are just a couple of views that try to show what it's like today existing. And then you can see some of the big rooftop pieces that are there today. All of those will be gone or shifted slightly to the north. And then the next slide is the same image, but now the equipment's gone. What we've done, pieces that were in the directly in, like above the lattice work, are gone, or they've been relocated to the north with a screen wall that you see. So, you know, it was a challenge all the way around, but you know, we spent a lot of time and effort, and hopefully feel that the conclusion is everybody, you know, feels a little bit better than what was there today. Next slide. Again, another image showing what's there today. So you can see some of the big pieces. And then the next slide will show you what happens when we're there. So that tiny little band at the top of the wall is our little 6-inch extension. And then the piece of screen wall that you see on the left is screening some rooftop equipment. You know, and we always have this challenge, which is the rooftop equipment worse than the screen wall? And in this case, we think the screen wall is significantly better to look at, or not even hardly notice, versus a bunch of, not a bunch, but 3 pieces of exhaust fan. And we also think that it helps mitigate some of the noise as well. So next slide. And this is from the north looking south. And so again, this is what it looks like today. And next slide. And this is what it will look like at the completion of the project. And I think that was it. Next slide. Yeah, and so that's really just back to a survey. So if you have any questions, we're here to discuss and answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Before we have a discussion, could I just ask if there's been any ex parte communication on this item?
No.
I have to declare that I did meet Ross on site, and I have looked at the area that we're talking about firsthand. So with that, questions?
Excuse me. My name is George Morris, president of Las Casitas, and at some point I'd like to make a comment on this. I don't know when it's appropriate.
Thanks, Mr. Morris. I'm just about to get to that because we have to declare if there's any communications with the board. So now I'd like to open it to the public. And Mr. Morris, you have got first choice, and we'd welcome your input.
Okay, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
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 So I'm the president of Las Casitas, and we were contacted by the little club in April, and they went over their plans and ideas in detail, and we all looked at it, all 10 casino owners, and based on the representations that were given us, we sent a letter to Scott Morgan in May, unanimously supporting the variance because it was signed by all 10 Las Casitas owners, and we're in favor of it because it dramatically improves our situation. And we've been in touch with the little club to make sure that the representations that they made were adhered to. And as it turns out, they've done a lot more than they promised. So we're very much in favor of it. We hope it goes through. because it dramatically improves our situation. And this is the official position of the Las Positas.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. And the other point is that we all received a copy of the letter from Mrs. Kraft with the focuses of the protruding mechanical work, and that seems to be addressed as well. And Mr. Morris, you've just reinforced that. We're always very careful with variances, but with this, there's been so much pre-work to this, and I have to say that Ross reached out to everybody, and the fact that you've engaged, Ross, your immediate neighbours and accommodated their needs, I think that speaks volumes for what you're trying to do. Is there any other are there any other comments from the board, aesthetically, planning, etc.?
I think they've done a lot of screening the technical stuff that's required to prevent the kitchen. It looks good.
I agree. Sorry.
May I speak? I couldn't hear Mandy's comments.
Yeah.
Because.
Could you repeat them, please, Mandy?
Pardon me?
Mandy, could you repeat?
I think that the new addition and the way it creates screening from the equipment that has to be on the top of this of the roof is a vast improvement to what is currently existing. It's a big improvement. I approve of it.
We do too. What we have asked, did anybody get my documentation? And Mr. Murphy, I asked that that you come and walk the property from our perspective. Yep. Were you able to do that?
I wasn't, unfortunately, at the time when we got the letter, and it's been a pretty crazy week, I'm sorry. But I did see it from Ross's point of view, and the pictures you'd taken were very detailed in terms of the visual impact it had prior, well, it presently has, prior to this application, prior to this work being completed. So yeah, because we received this letter later, unfortunately I didn't get to walk from your side, but it's very clear now on what's been presented, and the fact that Mr. Morris has also formally stated that there's full support for this application. I think it looks like a very positive outcome.
Well, there are two applications. There are two variances in front of you today. Yep. The one variance that Mr. Morris is supporting, we did sign because it said that the noise and odor would be reduced. Now, there's 3 larger exhaust fans going up to the north, which is closer to our house. I don't know why they weren't installed to the south of the roof, which would be more toward the golf course. And not impinge as much on our house. But I want to be sure that the tops of the HVAC system don't show, that the screening, Mr. Spina showed the screening from the north view. And I'm hoping that that screening is going to be taken around all the way around. We have not agreed to add any height to the wall. I don't know where the 6 inches is coming from. Where is the 6 inches that they're referring to?
It's on the other side of the wall.
It is. So you're going to build up on your side of the wall, 6 inches above the existing wall. Is that correct?
Would you like me to answer that? So this is
yes, please, Mr. Spina.
Yes. So we're building. So the current wall that's there today is actually not on our property. It's west of our property line. It's your wall or the Las Casitas wall. And so our only work that we're doing will be on a Little Club property, and we will build a new wall that, in order to keep the water on our roof so it's not just running over the edge, we had to lift you had to create enough space inside the room so that the interior of the space can work, and it's not that high of a ceiling. And then you have mechanical and structural equipment above that. You have the roof, and then you have what they call a parapet so that you can flash and waterproof the roof properly. But the new wall that we're building east of your wall going to be 6 inches taller, about approximately 6 inches taller, just so we can properly waterproof it. And then to answer your other question,
That's great.
yeah, and then on the screening, yes, we are completely screening the mechanical units.
Not only the exhaust fans, but the HVAC. We won't see, and you don't have any plans in the future to just add. The reason the roof looks the way it does is that the Little Club has just indiscriminately over the years added stuff. I mean, when we purchased, there was one exhaust fan, if you can believe that. No, it was 25 years ago, but it's just a rabbit warren of stuff, and you've cleaned it up, beautifully. We're very pleased with the results, but we didn't have any screening or any west view until last Wednesday, Mr. Spina. So, you've done a lot of good work and we appreciate it. But I want to be sure that that screen will screen the HVAC system as well.
Mr. Spina, this is public record, so if you'd like to respond to that specific point.
Everything, like, first of all, the renovation that we're currently underway is significantly moving and screening the bulk of the equipment. The last of the stuff goes with the kitchen will be moved slightly easterly and a little bit northerly, and it will be fully screened when we're completed.
The HVAC system, we will not see the tops of the HVAC system. You're going to extend that screen west? Yes?
Yes.
And the exhaust, you have created looks like a cement barrier with that 6-inch wall. Is that what that is, cement, or what is that? Screening those exhausts.
The 6-inch extension of the parapet is not what we're using to screen the equipment. That's just finishing off the roof, so it's waterproofing, and it allows us to maintain the water on our roof. The screen wall that you saw, the one on the north that we're talking about to screen the equipment from the north, we're doing exactly the same thing on the west and south screen exhaust.
That wasn't what we were shown on Friday. We were shown something that looked like cement in front of the 3 exhaust fans. Will we hear those fans? Well, how's the odor? I mean, they're much larger and there are more of them than there used to be. What's the impact going to be?
There's not any more than there was currently, and the fans are much more efficient, much quieter, and I'm sure they're newer technology. The fans that are up there now are very old, and the fans that we're putting in will be much improved.
Well, we're hoping so, because they're much closer to our house than they were. They were more to the south. I mean, everything but what plan were we shown on Friday with the cement?
Mr. Spina's on record as how he's addressed it. Your point, Mrs. Kraft, about the Little Club sort of adding ad hoc additions, I think we can give you the confidence that there won't be just add-ons. They have to, everybody in Gulfstream, including the Little Club, have to go through the ARPB and, where appropriate, the Board of Commissioners. So I think you can rest easy that they can't just add things from now on.
The plan we were shown on Friday, though, seems to be different than what Mr. Spina is speaking about today. Could he address that?
The plan on Friday is exactly the same plan that you see today.
Wasn't it white that was screening the Gordon?
It's still white.
It's still white.
You want to back up a couple slides, we can show it again.
Yeah, please. Can we go back to see that?
Okay, go back. So keep going. Yeah, well, there you go. That's it right there. So,
what is that screening material?
Is it metal stucco? Yeah, it's a wood. Is it wood or is it stucco? Wood. Yeah, it's a wood decorative louvered wall that looks pretty. Even if you saw it, it looks prettier than just a.
It doesn't look like louvered.
If you go to the north elevation, where the screen's shown from the north, and you can better show a picture to everybody what the screening is going to look like.
Yeah, you're doing an upshot. It's, it's not a direct shot that we would see.
Go back a couple of sheets and we'll try to show it where you can really see it.
Yeah, the elevation.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going. You can, okay, back up one. Yeah, so there it is right there. So
no.
There it is. Yeah, go back to the one slide you were just right before this. Sorry. Yeah, so right
Yes.
there. So this is the north elevation, and you can see the screen. So it has, and then you can see the screen on the right side is actually the screen screening the exhaust fans. Much shorter, much lower because the roof's much lower. So, you know, the way
So those are screens. That isn't a solid wall that we're seeing in the picture that you showed us. It's a screen.
again, there's two little pieces there. One is a tiny little solid wall that's 6 inches tall, and then the
Yes.
other is a screen wall that is more decorative. One on the north.
Yeah, that doesn't show in the west side drawing that we were given on Friday. It looks like a solid piece of concrete.
Yeah, the reason why the image looks the way it does on the west is that we think that, you know, we took a photograph and then we projected the wall accurately in the photograph. And we think that when you're standing anywhere near your house, you're not going to be able to see much of the screen wall at all because the wall on your property has an angle of vision. You started walking west on the golf course and got really far near the intercoastal, maybe you could see more of the wall, but we don't. And if you do, it'll look just like this screen wall on the front of the building.
As long as it's screened,
It is.
you know, as my point was, every other club, every other building of any prominence has screened all of their rooftop mechanics. So we think asking not to see the tops of the HVAC system or the exhaust fans is appropriate. And we're just counting on it being screened and giving us a really nice view from the west.
We agree with you. That will be the result when the project's completed.
All right.
Mrs. Kraft, does that address your concerns? Because these elevations and plans that are presented are the public record that will be adhered to, what you're seeing now.
Yes, but you know, you have to understand that they did not submit a west view until Wednesday when I asked for one. So, you know, a lot of this has been a scramble to, you know, accommodate us, which we appreciate.
Right.
And we thank the Little Club and Mr. Spina, but we have not been really taken much into consideration during this process. So we want to be sure for our quality of life and our resale value that, you know, the Little Club has done everything they can to sort of protect our view. And we're sort of looking to the board to support that.
And I think you know, what we've discussed over the last few moments, I think that, you know, Mr. Spina's outlined specifically the concerns you had. And as I said, this is public record that they've said it will be screened. They will adhere to these plans. And if there's any deviation from them, they will be basically drawn to their attention.
I have one last question about noise and the odor. Mr. Spina's addressed the odor, that the fans are better, but you know, they're closer now to our property. The HVAC system as well is, you know, much larger than it used to be. The club's quite a giant club now. And I'm very concerned about noise. Has anybody, is with the tonnage, you know, is the noise going to be greater, even if it's in the wells? Is there any way to line the wells or put a roof on the wells or something to reduce the noise? Does anybody know what the impact of these great big new units are going to have as far as sound goes?
I guess I'll take a quick stab at that. So as far as the club being significantly bigger, it's not any bigger than, I mean, we're adding enclosing some unenclosed area. We think that the noise will be improved because we've taken units that were on the ground and units that were very old and inefficient, and we think that all the way around the noise will be improved. I didn't look. I assume there's some sort of, you know, moderate noise ordinance in the town. I'm sure we fully comply today. I'm sure we.
Is there a noise ordinance if it's over and above that something can be done at a later date?
If there was a significant problem, we could add acoustic panels on the inside of the screen walls. So if there was an issue, we could do that easily.
Should you do it now?
We don't think there's any reason to do it, but.
Oh, you don't live next door, Mr. Spina.
Right, but what we could,
You know,
what we're all doing here is gazing into the future. So I think from the architect's point of view, from Mr. Spina's point of view, they believe, and this is in the future, that the noise, because it's the location, the screening, the fact that it's new, will be reduced. However, your point, Mrs. Kraft, if it is deemed that it is louder than it is at the moment, or an annoyance, then Mr. Spina, would you address that point with noise reducing panels?
Sure. I mean, the nice thing about the screen wall, other than it, screening the equipment, is it allows for a vertical surface if it needed to be added, to have physical panels added to the side of it. We've done that before. Typically, we do it with generators that are very loud. We usually find that mechanical equipment, especially new mechanical equipment, requires it. So we don't anticipate any issue with the noise.
Mr. Spina, in one rendering you had showing this screening, it did screen a little bit to the west, but it didn't screen past the HVAC. Have you added additional screening? Is that my understanding?
All the rooftop equipment.
I think it was the south elevation. No, which one was it? The existing west, no, my notes are all cluttered. No, and then you showed it, maybe it was a rooftop overlay from looking down.
There was a plan.
Maybe it was a plan.
There's a roof plan. I think the screening, I think we all agree on the concept behind screening the mechanical equipment. And you did
Good.
not.
We can then be assured that we will not see any mechanical equipment.
Yes.
Is that true? Good.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
For the record, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft, for that point. As usual with variances, there are 8 points we have to address. And I think we've addressed them, especially the point about the application. This is predominantly because there are no service facilities for the staff. When I inspected the site, there was one restroom, which is dilapidated. And I think this will improve the standard, obviously, to the staff. So with that was usually my main concern. Are there any other points before we go to our motions? And we do have options, but we seem to address the concerns from the Casitas, from Mrs. Kraft, from Mr. Morris. And therefore, if there's no other points that the board want to raise, could I ask for 2 motions, please, for the approvals that have been requested? There is one variance and there is a level 3 application for an architectural site plan. Are there any other comments from the board?
No.
In that case, could I please ask for the first motion addressing the request for a variance?
Sure, I'll make it. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a variance from the provisions in section 66-260 to permit the extension of the west side of the building to the west property line, approximately 10 feet further into the required side setback.
And a second?
That motion?
Rita?
Mr. Roche?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Murphy?
Yes. And I request who would like to make another motion, please, as outlined on our paperwork.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a level 3 architectural site plan to permit the renovation of the existing kitchen and the 745 square foot addition on the west side of the kitchen, an employee area to house employee lockers, restrooms, changing rooms, and a small lounge.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Rita, please.
Mr. Roche?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Murphy.
Yes. Thanks, Rita. We now move on to, are there any items from staff?
Nothing new, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Any items from board members?
No.
Okay, and the public, who seems to have left us, but I have to ask. In that case, if there's no other business to be addressed, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm getting off.
The